right, it's Jerry Mason, Kickin Lawyer. Thank you guys for joining us again for another Law Talk. As always, if you haven't, please like, follow, subscribe to the podcast and our platform. We're on all social media platforms, all podcast platforms, wherever you listen or watch podcasts. Hopefully you can find us. If you are buying, selling, renting, leasing real estate in the area, Michelle Allen is our go-to for Cry-Like Realtors. If you're, and she's also a good community leader. So if you just got questions about the area, Michelle's at all the ribbon cuttings, all that stuff. You can check her out. If you want to learn to kick and punch, self-defense, all that stuff, and the skills that led to me being a kicking lawyer, you can visit masonsmartialarts.com. We have 2 locations, one in Millington and one in Covington, been open for 30 years. And then Jam Books and Records is a newer business we have. It's on the square here in Covington. It's open 6 days a week. You can buy new books, signed memorabilia, comic books, and records. And then my wife, of course, has holistic healthcare and hormones. You can visit the website, check out what they have to offer. Her and Dr. Laura, I'll be glad to get you on the road to quality health. And then if you need help with your social media marketing, website design, commercials, whatever, visit masonitemarketing.com. And so today's guest is somebody I saw at a local songwriters thing here in Covington, Mr. Dutch Vanderpool, and apparently he's multi-talented because he's got books and stuff too. So we're going to talk a little bit with him today. How you doing, Mr. Dutch?
Doing well. Thank you.
So you a Memphis? I know you're not a Memphis native because I heard your stuff at the thing, but
right.
you live in Memphis now.
No, I actually live in Fayette County now.
Fayette County. Okay.
Yeah.
Somerville.
Just outside, just east of Somerville. Yeah, just down the outskirts.
How long you been there?
1998.
Okay.
1998.
You like Fayette County, all right?
Yeah.
Had a lot of development in the last several years.
Yeah, more on the west edge, but yeah.
With Oakland and everything.
Right.
So, slight side note, I had a law firm in Fayette County up till a year ago, I guess. We had an extension office that we had it there for, I think roughly 3 years. And what was interesting to me, so I'm from here, I'm from Tipton County, born and raised. And I did the demographics for like all of West Tennessee because we're looking to open a new office. And so Somerville's close to Blue Oval City. Somerville's not population-wise as big as Tipton, but demographically it's very similar. You've got newer people near the Oakland area, the south end there of the county, and then you got Somerville. It's more of a farming seat like Covington. It's very similar. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, we'll open up there. It's the same thing. So I go in there. And the people are very nice, but it's immediately like, who's your granddaddy? You know, where it was all very, even though I'm from Tipton County, it was like I was from a different planet for some of the folks there. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is. You can, if you weren't born there, you're never really from there.
Yeah. Are you from there now that you've been there?
I don't
20
know.
plus years?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe some people would allow that.
Yeah.
Some still would question that, but before that we lived in the Bartlett area for a number of years, and my wife had family in Fayette County.
Yes, sir.
In actually LaGrange specifically, so we decided to move out there, get out in the country, and raise our boys out there.
So, speaking of boys, Austin is my son, Austin and Jude, and I don't know if you know amongst the Noah people and bands who they are, but so Austin sang that night.
Yeah, I know Austin
and
for sure.
Jude is my youngest son. He plays the bass.
Okay.
And Noah and Austin are best friends, and they formed a band a few years ago called NA the Band, and their drummer was from college where they were at, and then the bass player is Jude, my youngest son. So anyway, they're all musical, all into it, and so anyway, when I came to watch that night, I didn't know who all was performing, and but I was real impressed with yours. Was definitely you're talented performing wise, but I like your songwriting skill too. Because I enjoyed your songs, original songs. I thought, I don't want to say better than everybody else, but I enjoyed your performance, and
I appreciate that.
So it was good, especially the one about the car. I thought that was really cool. What was the
my 54?
54. Because I could relate to that. Because he at the end of the song, you explain sort of where it goes, and it was interesting to me because it's kind of like, I'm midlife now, I guess, arguably, and to me it was almost like a story about how life goes, Right. Yeah. So tell me some of your background on music. Let's start with that. So what got you into music? What style of music do you think you perform?
I came to it rather late, although I was briefly in a little cover band in high school as a singer. I didn't play guitar or anything back then. And we played, at the skating rink in the high school and that kind of thing. And then after that, that kind of went away. And then I joined the Navy out of high school and began playing guitar then, just a little bit, and enough to get a few chords. And then I'd always wanted to write, whether it was whatever, and felt it pull towards that. So of course I wrote, little love songs or little whatever, none of which survive that I know of anywhere. I have to look around and see. But so just very kind of sporadic, writing every once in a while, playing every once in a while, and until about 97, I actually I wrote my first album was an album of Bible memory songs.
Okay.
My wife and I were teaching second grade Sunday school, and my wife is a teacher, an English teacher, and she said, "Why don't we want to teach them the books of the Bible, all the the Ten Commandments, all the things, that they could memorize and know. Why don't you write songs, and because people learn from songs." So I did that, and that ended up I just kind of simply recorded and put on cassette, and it was became an album. And then, so I played some there, and when I moved out to Fayette County, I joined a little kind of a country band, playing rhythm and singing. Not so much I was still writing some, but I wasn't writing. I'm not a prolific writer. I write what when I feel something is, I can put something quality together, and quality in my standards, not necessarily everybody else's.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, and I've always been kind of, I call it Americana, because that's kind of almost a catch-all phrase, but it's not. It falls better into that category: folk, Americana, acoustic mostly.
Like a John Denver vibe.
Yeah, Guy Clark is my go-to.
Bob Dylan, but a better singer.
Bob Dylan, yeah. Yeah, but not a better songwriter. He's a great songwriter. But Guy Clark, John Hyatt, and of course, early on it was, James Taylor, just, those kind of guys. So I'm trying to, in the last few years, just very recently, really, I've just tried to start ramping it up and writing more and playing more.
I noticed on your Facebook it looked like you had been performing more regularly, maybe, or I don't know about more regularly, but regularly.
Yeah, pretty much, in the last year or two.
Yeah.
There was a point a few years ago where I was just kind of almost, nobody wants to hear my stuff. I play by myself most of the time, so it's I'm solo, that is, not like by myself in a corner. But
I understand.
But it's really great to have accompaniment, but I don't always get that. Sometimes I do. But so I got some pretty good feedback on some of my songs in the last year or so. So maybe I need to keep going. So I am, and just trying to play where I can, mostly songwriter kind of things like here that time, or I did play. I'm a member of Memphis Songwriters Association, and they have an annual competition. In the last 2 years, I got in with the top 8 finalists. So, and that all the top 8 got some opportunities to play some other places or go on the radio or do something like that. So that's kind of that's helped. So I just play where I can and try to keep writing.
Yeah. Well, locally here in Covington, in the Covington area, there's a pretty good little scene, I guess. Now, you've already met a lot of the folks. They were there the other night, but they all kind of rotate. So I used to own the Cellar restaurant over here, and James, the guy who owns it outright now, still has music. That's a place to play. And like, it's kind of like even that little songwriter thing, you know, it was what, I don't know, 30, 40 people in there. But you never know who's going to be there to hear and listen. And you know, different music appeals to different people.
Sure.
Speaking on your songwriting thing, just because this is always impressive to me. I have no musical skill at all. Like, so I'm always impressed by musicians. And then I'm lucky that my sons do. But anyway, when you write songs, do you like write the music first and like, oh, this is a good chord or whatever, and then put words with it? Or is it more like something inspires you word-wise? Like, what is your process usually?
Usually it's lyrics first. I'm very lyric centric from a writing standpoint, you know, and then I'll figure out a melody to go with it, and sometimes it starts with the chorus, you know, the hook that you come up with, and then you figure that out, and then you know, your brain starts working on what the verses would be. You know, it could go the other way. But usually for me, it's because I'm not an accomplished musician, a guitar player at all. I kind of play enough to get by playing my stuff.
Well, you play better than I do. It's not saying a lot, but
yeah. So that's, you know, usually focus on the lyrics and then try to bring the song an interesting melody to in the style of whatever the song is, if it's upbeat or you know.
Well, before we get into the more of that, why don't you tell us about these things? Because I didn't know until you brought this in that you were also an author, which we're hoping to have available at Jam Books and Records right on the square here in Covington. So why don't you tell us about this stuff?
Well, I've written 3 novels with a Memphis-based. They're kind of mystery adventures, I guess, action adventures or something. But it usually they all have a local flavor, local. Well, the locations. It's the same. Matt West is the same investigator / rare book dealer.
Gotcha.
The first book was actually something that I had the idea for I don't know, 20 years, based on something that happened back in my hometown. And the book covers my hometown in Kansas, and but it also ends up going to like Ireland. Starts in Memphis. So, and the second book is more Memphis centered. A lot of the things around town, and goes to California and back. But
so is it like mystery, detective novel mystery?
This one is more of a murder mystery / national treasure. It's a, you know, clues looking for, you know, the bad guys and the good guys are both looking for the same hidden artifact and how they get there. So it's just something I've always wanted to do, and again, I've got 3, and I haven't written any more in a while. I kind of switched over to trying to do more songs than books. But
are these available on Amazon?
They are available on Amazon,
or of course, after we're talking, Jam Books and Records.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in there the day I came to that songwriter thing.
Oh, okay, cool.
Jack I'd seen where he posted a picture up front of it.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm an old comic collector.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something we definitely have in common.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you my office when we get done.
Yeah. I've got a few boxes, long boxes, and so, and of course vinyl. I love vinyl, so that was fun going through there. And
so I'll let you know a little secret. The vinyl, I think I do have price to sell. I am not emotionally vested in the vinyl. I had a few records as a kid. I'm not emotionally vested in it. The comic books I'm emotionally vested in.
Yeah.
So I only carried graded comics at the store because if I didn't, it would be a comic book store. I have a comic book room at my house where I've got about 20,000 loose comics, and I became still it's a problem. Like, so the store was sort of feed my own addiction to books. I read all the time too, to books and comics. But my point was, those comic books are not priced to sell at the store. I was going to be honest.
Right.
They're from my personal collection. There's a lot of really good ones there, but
I saw some good ones. Yeah.
the vinyl is hopefully priced to sell. So, but I like carrying local author books too. I actually wrote a book about my daughter. It's sort of like a middle school kids book. But my experience with writing, for me, it was more the book and I wrote some business books too. But the one that is important to me was this one called The Magic Paintbrush I wrote about my daughter. And I wrote it when we were super poor. I actually wrote it on an iPad, and she and I would write it together. Like, I used to be a cop. And before I would go do midnight shift, she and I would talk about the story, write the story. And so I never honestly had any intention of publishing the book. It was just something my daughter and I did together, you know. And so fast forward, I self-published it, and it's just sort of, it's in the ether, whether it sells or not. I didn't care. It was just more... But it was very fulfilling to me to sort of have it even out there. I had her she's an artist, and so I had her do the cover art and all this kind of stuff. But it's a freeze frame in time, because the stories in that book are from our actual life. And then I sort of changed some of it to make sort of a fiction story around her getting a magic paintbrush, basically. I say all that to say this. I've wanted to write like an American novel, you know, like something like this, more around maybe the legal field. But every time I sit down to try to do that, like, it just seems so overwhelming trying to track the characters. And I've even done, like, I don't know how you do it, like note cards on this character's here, this was their background, and this is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many characters you have here, but do you have a system on how you track all that to make sure it lines up and you didn't leave loose ends?
Just by going back through it, I'll make notes. I try to do, like, have a general outline of, this is where we're starting, this is where I'm going to end up. Yeah. And a couple of points in the middle, but the book ends up writing itself as you go through. I don't know where it's going to go a lot of times.
Gotcha.
But and so I have the main characters, but then I get to a certain point where I need another character. That one just comes to life. Yeah. Gotcha. And I'll write down the characteristics of the character. Do
you let anybody read it as you go along, or are you one of the guys that has to wait till it's done and let them read and give you input?
No, I'll get pretty far along, but my wife is an excellent barometer plus incredible grammarian. So
yes,
you know she's
that's something I could
use
too.
Big help there.
That's right. You said English teacher, so yeah, that makes sense.
And she's not afraid to say, you know, that doesn't make sense, or something like that.
I got you.
So, and then I've always had, when it's completed, I'll enlist a couple of people to just read it and give me their feedback and see what, you know, oh, you misspelled this right here, you missed that one, or something.
Yeah. Mine was always the grammar stuff too. So I could spell, but my grammar's terrible. I write like I talk. So.
Well, sometimes conversationally, that's what you want to do.
Well, yeah. If you're doing like the quotes and stuff.
But when you're doing the narrative,
do you read regularly? Are you a big reader?
I am. I used to read more than I do now, but I do read pretty regularly, and that's really important when you're going to write. If you've got to be reading.
Yeah. Do you have a specific genre you like, or you just read everything?
Well, I used to read a lot of fiction, obviously, different authors in sort of the same genre. I read more nonfiction now. I like biographies and histories and things like that.
So I sort of flip-flopped. Before we opened the store, I almost exclusively read biographies, business, history, very dry nonfiction. And then as we approached opening the store, I wanted to be able to talk with all the customers, so I started reading a lot of the girl books and learned why they read the girl books, a lot of them, because I was so shocked. I say this all the time. We would have these church ladies come in, and they'd buy like we got a pretty good Christian section with a lot of Bible study aids and stuff, and they'll buy like, you know, a book on John or something that's sort of a study aid, and then with it they'll get like this what is it, Fourth Wing book, right? This romantasy book. And as a guy, guys are all like, oh, look, they're reading that book. So I started reading those books. Some of those books have some very interesting chapters that I see. It's a hidden world that these women are getting to delve into that guys just normally don't read. Anyway, but some of them are really good too. There's some that are really good. I just got on a sci-fi kick. I just finished Project Hail Mary. That is one of the best books I've ever read. One of my favorite all-time books is To Kill a Mockingbird, and this is literally up there with To Kill a Mockingbird.
They're,
like it was
they're
awesome.
making a movie
Out of Project Hail Mary?
Yeah, the trailer just
You
came
should
out
read
this
the book before you watch the movie. The book was amazing. I could not put it down. I read the book in 3 days, 3 or 4, which I have no time. So for me to devote time like that to read a book is a lot. But anyway, it was really good. We're going to have to get that. So anyway, that's all interesting to me that the writing goes hand in hand, I guess, with fiction and with music. And then you have a CD available or an album available?
Yes, yeah. Rugged Lines. Recorded that last year. Most of the songs you heard, but not all of them, are from this album. This is a much more studio musician produced. It's not just me playing a guitar.
It says BMI produced.
Well, BMI is the.
That's the distributing.
That's
yeah, online.
That's the online thing.
And then where did you record it?
Recorded it at my son's studio in Vancouver, Washington.
I see that, Vancouver, Washington.
He's a recording engineer and a touring musician and a great singer and guitar player. And he did a lot of the instrumentation and singing on this along with a few other really talented musicians. We put that together over about a year or more of my going up there to see the grandkids and recording. And matter of fact, I just got back from there. I was just there for 10 days. We recorded, got good mixes on 4 new songs, and got to play a singer-songwriter show while I was there with some really good folks. So,
is it available digitally? Like
it is available digitally.
I like that you have a physical thing, but I'm older. So I think, Josh's age, they don't ever... Do you ever buy CDs, Josh?
No, not in like 20 years.
See, the thing is, you have to have a special machine to play them on, which nobody has anymore.
Well, that's interesting. The records are coming back, though.
Yeah.
It's so funny. When I first opened that store, our staff's all these young girls. We have one guy now, but it was initially all young girls, like 16, 17, 18. Mm-hmm. They didn't know how to play a record. Like, I had to have a training on how to play a vinyl record. And they were even like, why? Why? And so I have a record player in my office, and I'll sometimes part of how the store developed, I don't know that I've even talked about this. One was I wanted to open a business with my daughter. It was all circling back to my daughter. She's artistic. She likes books, records, whole deal. So the idea was she would do it with me. Well, then I get going, and of course she vamps. So anyway, is what it is. But, I work really hard all the time. I have multiple businesses, very stressful all the time. And so when I do relax, I'll sit in this office, I'll play a record, I'll light a candle, and I'll read a book. So I'm got my candle going, reading my book, got my record playing, my dog over here sleeping. Best day, And so that sort of developed in, if I had a bookstore, my addiction is buying books and stuff. That feeds that, and I can have the records, and everybody else can sort of enjoy that relaxation too. So, and then I have a place. If you notice, when you first come in, there's some chairs. The plan is to have where we could move those, and we do occasionally have music there too. So kind of like they did, and the acoustics are a little better than in the coffee shop because those books absorb all the sound. It does really well. So, but anyway, circling back to your music. So I enjoyed listening to you, and I'll tell you, just not to pat you on the back. I mean, again, I thought you were talented as a musician and songwriter, but this is what I'm trying to get Noah to learn, honestly, is you're really good at the banter between the songs. Like your stories and things really drew me in to then when you play the song. I enjoyed that part. And my kids and some of these younger ones, they're very talented musicians. But I noticed they struggle with that in-between time, and I think part of that's just life experience. But I like the way you tell the story beforehand and builds into the song. I think it adds more to it. So,
well, and that's not the easiest thing for me to do. Usually I'm pretty reticent, and sometimes I even am. But when the song has in that kind of a setting, you know, sometimes the song has to have, you have to give a little background on it for it to make sense. I mean,
well, I also think it feeds into, I could tell I liked you. You know, like you're, other than that, I've just now met you now, so I don't know, you could be a terrible person. But I'm saying that you were there was good charisma from that. Like, I enjoyed your performance. And a couple of the other ones did okay, but there was no, like, I wasn't drawn to them. You know what I mean? So, do you want to perform anything for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
What would you like to do? It's up to you. The one I remember is the 54, my 54, but I mean, you're welcome to do whatever you're comfortable with.
Let me see.
I don't. Did you do old guitar? I think you did do.
I did do old guitar.
I think. Yeah, I thought I remembered that one too.
Yeah, that's about an old songwriter, and his old guitar. So.
Yeah, I remember that one too. Those kind of songs that evoke emotion, I think, are cool. Perry, I think, will be okay with the music. When Jack and the Fat Man was in here, he didn't really like the percussion.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little loud for
I
him.
can see that.
Yeah.
Let me get squared around here and get tuned up a little bit.
Yeah, take your time. What you playing, by the way, guitar wise?
This is a recent acquisition called an Orangewood.
Okay.
Bang on this. And you notice it's left-handed. I play left-handed, so.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said something about that.
Darn, it's almost in tune. I might not mess with that. It's a relatively inexpensive guitar. I got to kind of carry around with it, but I really like. It's got a really good acoustic tone for you know. I've got a couple of Martins that.
I was just going to say, it sounds like my son's Martin.
Yeah, I played a Martin at that songwriter thing, same basic body style, but it was, and it sounds better plugged in than it does acoustically, just because it's a smaller box. But for some reason, this one has a lot more resonance, and so something like this, when I'm not going to plug it in, I'll bring this. Which one you want? What do you want?
Up to you. Whatever you think.
Well,
what do you think's your hitter on here? You got 10 on here.
Oh gosh.
What's your favorite one?
I like old guitar. I like I Could Stop Missing You. They're both kind of slow picking songs.
How about that Memphis Sound? I don't remember
that Memphis
one.
Sound.
Yeah.
I don't think I played that one.
Yeah, I don't remember you doing that one.
Yeah. You want to hear that?
Yeah, let's do that one.
All right. This is a song that was generated from a song prompt at the Memphis Songwriters Association. 1 month they have meetings every month, and so they put out a song prompt, and you can write a song for the next month just to, if you want to.
Spur you.
And
get the juices flowing.
Right, and the prompt was Mojo.
Okay.
And you'll hear the word in here, but the song isn't really not about Mojo. I had what came to mind was Mojo in a mason jar, and then Good Luck on a Chain. And from that, this whole song developed.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't necessarily figure that out.
Yeah.
Let me wet my whistle. But this is about Memphis music. Cigarette smoldering in an ashtray, made from a tuna fish can. Sitting on the sidewalk between the feet of a solitary guitar man. He drifted up from Louisiana, taking the long way round, with an old Telecaster and a pig nose amp, working out that Memphis sound. Says he keeps his mojo in a mason jar. He'll tell you he's got good luck on a chain. singing about hard times, playing slide guitar every evening when the sun sets on South Main. The Mississippi casts no shadows. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you're bound. The river's holding on to the echoes from the music in the city drifting down, rolling with that Memphis sound. She was born and raised in Oklahoma, been writing songs since she was 17. Now she's found her way to Beale Street, just looking for a chance to sing. They say she sounds like an angel, been feeling like she's stuck on the ground. But when she's singing, all that's forgotten. She's caught up in that Memphis sound. She likes to find a place in Handy Park early when there's no one there, playing and singing in her cowboy boots and floating music on the morning air. The Mississippi casts no shadows. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you're bound. The river's holding on to the echoes from the music in the city drifting down, rolling with that Memphis sound. Old man in a suit with a pork pie hat, passing as he heads downtown. He drops $1 in her guitar case and smiles as he turns around, keeping up that Memphis sound. The Mississippi casts no shadows. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you're bound. The river's holding on to the echoes from the music in the city drifting down, rolling with that Memphis sound.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, now that you say that, it does make me think James Taylor. You do have like a James Taylor vibe to you. One of my favorite songs he does is Sweet Baby James. When my kids were little, each of them, even though I'm, again, not musical, we sort of had a song that became their song. So, like, my oldest son, Alex, was... now that I say it, I'm going to say it. Shinedown redid it. And it was originally a... I can't think of the name of it now. And then Jade's was Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, my daughter. And then Austin, my middle boy Austin that you know that sings was Sweet Baby James. Jude was Hey Jude. So I mean,
That makes sense.
yeah. But anyway, you do have the James Taylor sound there, though. I was going to say, Josh, do you know what would you say a pork hat? What did you say about the hat?
Pork pie hat.
Pork pie hat. You know what that is,
I
Josh?
have no idea.
Pretty popular nowadays. You see a lot of musicians wearing them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Just kind of a flat top with a narrow brim, you know.
Yeah.
Fedora kind of style, but it's got flat on
It's
the
small.
top.
It's
and
like a smaller looking
thin
little
rim,
fedora. Yeah. That's interesting though that you referenced that because I always like the difference, the terms and things that. I'll give you an example. So the dog's name is Perry Mason, right? I'm a lawyer. My name's Jerry Mason. I thought it was funny. If they're 30 or under, they don't know who Perry Mason is.
Really?
No idea. It's completely lost on them. It's just amazing to me how time works, you know, and generationally how that's such a huge deal to me. Perry Mason. Anyway, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
It's like your My 54 song. You know, I thought it was great. I think there's elements that even the younger generations could pick up on about the freedom of getting a car and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So, you want to do that one?
Sure. As you could tell, I started out, I had a little brain freeze.
Oh, you're all good. Let me know if you get hot, too, like I said.
No, I'm fine. I don't think I... was 16, I had a job at the store, bagging groceries and sweeping the floor. After school until they bolted the door, saving for my first set of wheels. It was 68, there was a draft for the war. I knew a fella, he was joining the Corps. He had a Chevrolet, an old 54. He said, $60, I'll make you a deal. Dragging Maine on a Saturday night, it was the small town way. Arm out the window, doing it right, and it was come what may in my 54 Chevrolet. A straight 6 with 3 on the tree, a set of white walls I picked up for free. A little Bondo where a dent used to be. We cruised around whenever we liked. The steering wheel took some muscle to turn, a solid ton and a half stem to stern. And on the back seat was a cigarette burn where Leroy dropped his lucky strike. Dragging Maine on a Saturday night, it was the small town way. Arm out the window, doing it right, and it was come what may in my 54 Chevrolet. The ride was rougher back in the day, but I never lost my way in my 54 Chevrolet. At 18 I went to see Uncle Sam. He said he needed us to lend him a hand. Some of my buddies headed to Vietnam. Back then it didn't seem so real. The next day I made a stop at the store. A scrawny kid was stacking cans by the door. I saw him checking out my old 54. I said, $60, I'll make you a deal. Dragging Maine on a Saturday night, it was the small town way. Arm out the window, doing it right, and it was come what may in my 54 Chevrolet. Man alive, I love to drive that 54 Chevrolet. I forgot to pull out my harmonica. I usually plug my harmonica on.
Yeah, that's another thing that was impressive to me. Do you know Lynn Jones?
Oh gosh.
Okay,
yeah.
So Lynn is a good friend of ours. Has been on here a couple times, and he's similar to you, and y'all are very talented and humble, and he's like a god on that thing. And anyway, it's always impressive to me people that can play harmonica, sing the whole deal. So, how'd you learn? Did you just learn to pick that up, or
the harmonica?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just picked it up. That's about literally what I did.
Nice.
It was like, I can't, when you play alone by yourself, unaccompanied, you don't have there's no way you can like stop and do a lead break or something. You don't have somebody else playing with you. You can play rhythm, they can play, or they can. So I thought, do something.
Yeah.
So I picked it up and I found I could, come up with something in it. It's no Lynn Jones for sure, but at least it's something I can do to add a little something to the song.
Yeah. So that song, I'm trying to remember what you had said on all the backstory. Is there truth to the?
This is pretty much all true. It was my 54 Chevy was my first car, I did pay $60 for it. It was a beat up old. It was like 14 years old back then.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was 1968. So, but yeah, and I'm small town Kansas. Drove it around. That kind of it's pretty much all true.
And then did you say you went into the Navy?
I did go into the Navy.
How long were you in the Navy?
6 years, from 71 to 77. So the war ended about, some place say 73, some say 75, depending. But it was winding down, but it was still there, and this draft was still on. So I decided to go ahead and join the Navy and try to get some electronics training, get something out of it, rather than just infantry, which would have been fine, but I wanted to get some kind of skill if I was going to spend the time in there. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate your service. My son is in the Navy right now.
Oh, great.
And he is, well, I can't say exactly where he's at, but let's just say I'm nervous because of where he's at, of what's going on. So, and it's different too, I think, for people. It's so funny on the military thing, not to get political, but people kind of run their mouths on it and either haven't served or don't have family that are serving. And to me, it's a little different when you're dealing with that,
Yeah.
So we get to run our mouths here because of people like you that serve, so I appreciate it.
Well, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I ended up in this area. I spent my last 2 years at Millington. And so got out, stayed here, and went to Memphis State at the time.
Memphis State.
Memphis State.
So see, I'm a University of Memphis alum.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
Memphis
a Memphis
State. You're
State.
original.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. So I get that you were here Navy-wise, but you didn't feel like roots in Kansas that wasn't drawing you back over there?
Not really. Small town. A little bit of family back there, but there really wasn't any employment opportunities. It's kind of the town was an old lead mining town, and I've written a song about that too. But and that went kind of, it was a boom town back in the late 1800s up till about World War II, and then it kind of when that dried up, there just wasn't a lot of industry to come in or anything. So I'm probably the only person in my family that actually left. Whether I would have left without going in the Navy or not, I don't know. But it was, once I was away, and of course I also met my wife here. She wasn't my wife at the time, but so there was kind of some new roots going.
Was she from Fayette County?
No, she her family lived in LaGrange, Tennessee at the time. They were originally from Ohio, but had restored one of the antebellum homes out there, and so she was living in Memphis at the time, but going to. She was actually finished with school, but she was working as a teacher in Memphis at the time.
And so you're Memphis State University. What was your degree in?
My degree was in technical education with a minor in electronic engineering, which I did. I worked because I was an electronics technician, radar guy in the Navy, and I worked for a defense contractor out of when I graduated for about 6 years, doing technical curriculum, mainly with the Navy curriculum or training assessment and that kind of stuff. But after that, I didn't really use my degree.
Just did
because I actually the plan originally was to teach electronics.
Yeah.
And I did a semester of student teaching while I was in college. Of course, this is all. I'm 6 years older than everybody because I'd already been through the Navy.
Yeah.
Going on the GI Bill. But after student teaching, I realized, I don't think I have the patience or whatever I need to teach high schoolers basic electronics. So I did the defense contracting thing for a while, and then that job just went away. They lost the contract and moved everything to Arlington, Virginia, up where the headquarters was, and I didn't want to move up there, so I got into commercial insurance.
Okay,
and
cool.
Investments. And
That's
stuff.
a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny that you like that though and didn't like the teaching because they're both people skill based. I mean, the commercial insurance you got to sell, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little more higher stress, I would think, than teaching because I got to listen to you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But because if I had to sell to high school students, I probably wouldn't have done sales either.
Yeah, either way. Maybe that was the whole problem as a high school student.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's always funny to me how people's paths change. That's what I tell the young people. I was telling Jude, my son, he's 20, right?
Okay.
And so he goes, he initially went to school doing the Tennessee Promise thing for the first year at the local college because it's free basically. Really no idea what he wants to do. And then he kept having this pull to want to go into some trade. And so, I don't know why he was scared to tell me, but he finished his first year of college this past year. And then without talking to me or my wife, decides to enroll himself, pay for it himself into the TCAT in the industrial maintenance program. Which is fine. I don't care. It's whatever you want to do, man, you know. But that's the thing is they all think at 18, 19, 20 they need to have all the answers to life. And I'm 46 and don't have the answers to life, you know. And I don't know how old you are, but I bet you don't have all the answers to life either. So
nope, not even close.
That's the thing is it's about – I was just talking to Austin about this today. It's really more about the journey, I think. As I get older, I'm trying to be better at being present, kind of like that night. My problem is when I go to even things like that – to try to support friends or family, my brain is constantly going to what I should be doing, the next thing or what, instead of being present. And so personally, I'm trying to do better at being present. But my point is, if you're young and watching or listening, look, man, nobody's got it figured out. It's all good. Mm-hmm. We'll all get there one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Dutch, I appreciate you being on with us. Again, he's got some books out. He's got albums available, apparently, wherever you get, I assume iTunes, stuff like that.
Spotify.
Dutch Vanderpool, right? And if they want to find you, is there a site or anything that you'd prefer they check? You got Facebook.
I've got Facebook, Dutch Vanderpool. I've got, YouTube.
When's your next? Do you know when you're going to be performing again?
I'm going to be, I think, at Raven and Lily in Somerville a week from Saturday, something like the 12th,
a week
maybe.
From Saturday, yeah, something like that. Cool.
Yeah, not.
I haven't actually gotten over there yet. That originally was supposed to be a new restaurant I was involved in,
right?
And then there was some change up, and then Raven and Lily's there. And I've heard great things, but I haven't been.
Oh,
there. It's
awesome.
Good.
The food is spectacular. The owners are great. I mean, they're very supportive of local music. And
do you know? So over there, my law partner Brian Huffman is in a band that plays over there a lot with Colin Rosser.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So Brian is the long-haired one with the goatee.
Okay.
I don't know if he does. I think he does vocals with them. But Colin's a lawyer, and we're friends with him, right? And I know he sings over there. I don't know if Brian plays anything with him or not, but he's in that band with them over there.
Yeah, Generations. I think.
Yes, that's it, Generations. Yeah. I couldn't remember the name because Brian's in like 3 bands too.
Yeah.
That's the thing about you musicians. I was telling him. I mean, they're all in this. All of a sudden, Noah's over with Jack and the Fat Man.
Yeah.
They're all moving around, all the stuff they're doing. So.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I've noticed. I was talking to Jack and his dad about it. There are 2 things I've noticed with musicians, and this is more me on the non-musical and business side. The people that are really talented are usually not focused on the business side enough, I think. They either don't think they understand or they just don't care about it. Right. Lynn Jones, a perfect example. He's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And just so humble, don't care, and will play for free or whatever, just because he loves the music.
Right.
But, I think it's important for them to... with the boys band, just as a side note, I had them sign a thing with me. We produced their album, the band.
Okay.
My partner and I produced the album. We paid what we did. Took them to Nashville, rented a studio, paid studio musicians to come in at the time and, finish it up, do the whole thing. And I had them sign a thing with me just so that I would have a say and protect them. And it literally said I never get a penny from them. you know, because I just want what's best for them, right? But not everybody's like that.
Yeah, right.
So you just got to have somebody watch your back.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
Well, Dutch, I appreciate you making the trip over here from Fayette County to
my
meet with
pleasure.
us.
Thank you
It
so
was
much
very
for
nice to
inviting
have
me.
you. I enjoyed, like I said, you that night. I've enjoyed having you perform here.
Thank you.
I wish you the best, and I'm sure we can get you on again. I do a lot of local events here, too, throughout the community on stuff, and I'll keep you in mind for
Please do,
performances
yeah.
and stuff. There's a new distillery here. 797 Distillery. I'm doing a Books and Bourbon event July 19th. The boys are going to perform. But my point is there's events there all the time. And Darren Cheney's a real nice guy that's the owner. And he books acts. He's got Jack and the Fat Man coming to play too. So he's got a stage out there. And then, of course, down at just around the corner from him is Liberty Vintage Market. They've got a stage. They do music. And like I said, the cellar has music, the bookstore has music. There's lots of opportunities up here for musicians to perform.
That's great.
And that's what we want. We want this to be more of an artsy district, people to come and listen to all kinds of music. So, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for watching or listening, whatever it is. If you haven't, like I said, please make sure you follow the stuff. Go to all the podcast platforms. We are on all social media platforms. Please check us out on YouTube. I was just telling Dutch that's where we're weakest at. I don't know why. Maybe because nobody wants to look at me. And then if you want to buy, sell, rent, lease real estate, make sure you check out Michelle Allen. She's been a longtime sponsor of our show. Good community leader, good person. Been a guest on here too. So make sure you check her out. And then since we've been open since 1993, Mason's High Octane Martial Arts. We got a location in Millington and a location in Covington. All the instructors are trained by me and be glad to help you out. So visit that for some lessons. And then if you want to buy some vinyl records, books, and like I said, hopefully we could even have Mr. Dutch's books there. Check out Jam Books and Records on the Square here in Covington, open 6 days a week. And then Holistic Healthcare and Hormones, Dr. Laura and Madeline. Be glad to help you out, try to help you optimize your health. Visit holistichealthhormones.com, and they'll give you some more information. And then last but not least, if you're looking to come up with some marketing plans, branding, social media marketing, commercials, etc., just visit masonitemarketing.com. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. And this is probably going to be after the 4th of July, so hopefully nobody blew an arm off or anything. And I hope you have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Keep kicking. Thanks for watching, guys. Just remember that this is not legal advice or investment advice or business advice. This is for fun and entertainment purposes only.